with previous commissioners and Sheriff Malcolm, Road and Bridge maps, and this fellow, Lance Bates, and they have yet to find any proof that it's a kind of a.
So I understand a little bit of history of the map, but after Weston gets done and gives us an update, we will understand a whole bunch more. So he suggested if you want to meet with us during this meeting or set up a separate meeting, come in and meet with us. It will be after he meets with you and then he meets with us.
We were just a little confused because he says, well, I can't do anything until the Bonneville County Commissioners know about this.
And
that's why we wanted
we talked with him about it yesterday.
Okay.
And that's why after we talked with him, then we thought, well, I saved the trouble coming down, except that it's not bad for them to know what you, and for us to have this history. Nice, concise history.
Well, and that's a small part of the last 70 years.
Oh, I know.
We didn't find about this until about 1.5 years ago when people started just on our driveway. And so
running razors.
And it sort of rolled this ball. So that's when we just want to find evidence from Road and Bridge saying we worked on it, or we own it, or it's been meets and bounds. We have yet to see anything that proves it.
So with regards to when you come back and see us, the week following our meeting with our next meeting with legal, we're in Boise for a week. Meet with legislators and try and convince them that county have an interest in what goes on at Keller. So we won't be in that week. So we're not being pushed back because there's a delay.
And this is
important. So
yeah,
we'll
exactly
just schedule the next chance we get to.
All right.
We just wanted
the girls have that. So
okay.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Brandon Keller with Keller Associates. This is a public meeting for the 2 bridges on 45th East.
Okay, they let you through security.
What's that?
I said they let you through security.
They did. They did.
Okay.
Is it? Can you start that?
Yeah.
I can just tell you to forward.
Okay, we've got a visual.
All right, thank you, commissioners. I'm Brandon Keller with Keller Associates, the project manager for the design for the Sand and Willow Creek bridges. I've got a sign-in sheet for any of the, or not sign-in sheet. Public want to make comments on it. You're welcome to. It's here. You can leave it here, and then I also have some hard copies for of the presentation that I can leave for the county or any of the public that would like it afterwards. Go to the next slide. So as part of the project, like I said, I'm the consultant leading with Keller Associates. Been working with Lance and David with the county and the Road and Bridge group as we've gone through this. And then we have a project coordinator, Cassie, who is assisting me in coordinating with some of the public and the adjacent property owners as we go forward this process. So the two bridges that are part of this project are on 45th East, south and north of the highway. One is on the left there is Sandcreek Bridge, the zoomed in version of it. And then on Willow Creek, it's about 2 miles, 1.5, 2 miles north of the highway, Willow Creek Bridge. So those are the two bridges. The project is funded by federal aid, but our goal is to make improvements to the bridge. And it's not a roadway project. It's not extending 2 miles of roadway improvements. It's strictly to replace the bridge. If we go to the next slide. So a little background on these two bridges, and I have some pictures that will follow this, is of why are these being replaced or what is the need for them. Both of them approached their service life. Sand Creek is a little older, built in 57. Willow Creek was in 59. Sand Creek, if you go there right now, there's no water. Well, I don't think there's water in it right now, but you can walk underneath the bridge and you can see the condition that it's in, and it's not in very good condition. Both bridges are posted, meaning they're weight restricted, and considering the area, that can affect farm equipment and other heavy traffic vehicles. So the county identified this project, I don't know, years ago,
6 years ago.
5 or 6 years ago, submitted an application to LTAP for funding, received funding, went out for proposal. And this federal aid process takes a lot longer than what you're seeing in some of the other bridges that we're working with on Little B, which, we'll have 5 or 6 bridges.
Little B, the new commissioners means leading Idaho local bridges. It was a funded project by the governor 3 years ago. It has got, we were able to apply for a number of bridges in the first round of funding, and they came out with a new round that we just applied for the maximum number of bridges, which was 2 that we could. We haven't heard back on that one yet, but that's what, when he says Little B, it's leading Idaho local bridges, which is separate from the funding for this bridge, these bridges.
And that's another discussion with that, but that program is certainly, if you have anticipation that the process goes as fast as that, it doesn't. With federal aid, it's a much longer process. And we'll talk a little bit about timelines, but it does take a little bit to go through everything. So in that respect, again, the existing bridges are not in the best condition. Neither Willow Creek or Sandcreek bridges are in good condition. And really one of the driving points with this was the weight capacity limitations, and trying to fix that. There's also some safety concerns. They're narrow bridges, and providing a little better shoulders length can help improve that. We go to the next slide. So a couple pictures of Sandcreek. This is some of the top ones. It does have guardrail on it, but you can see it's just a little bit wider than the road. The road there doesn't have a whole lot of shoulder, and so
No shoulder.
no shoulder. So that's where we're at with that. If you go to the next slide, you're going to see pictures of the underneath side of the bridge. You're going to see cracking longitudinally in what those are actually masonry blocks, which is a unique style of bridge. You don't see that very often, but it's masonry blocks that are placed together and then post tension. So they have some tensioning strands that are in there that tighten it up to keep that there. So there's cracks in there. You're seeing effervescence, which is moisture coming through the blocks. You're seeing the piles being eroded. And so it's not only load posted, but it is in need of replacement before something continues to get worse. So that's Sandcreek. If you go to Willow Creek is a steel bridge. The girders are in a little better condition, but it is still load posted, and there is some scouring effects in it as that water runs pretty much year round. If you go to the next slide, there's a load posting restricted bridge. The Farmers Canal or Farmers Friends Canal that draws into that corner, there is a little bit of scouring effect on that northeast abutment. Underneath you see the steel girders, and that has some corrosion that is ongoing. But this one's more of a load restriction, no shoulders again, safety concerns, not the proper length. So those are some of the reasons why the bridge is being replaced and why the need is, and as this goes forward. So sort of already talked a little bit about the objective and then some of the elements, but the objective is mainly to replace these structures with new, wider, longer structures that improve the safety for vehicular and pedestrian traffic. Project elements, both bridges will be new. Realignment, we'll talk a little bit, I'll show a little bit of the preliminary plans here, but that Farmers Canal that is adjacent to the road that ties into Willow Creek. We're gonna have to realign that a little bit to get a little wider road and wider bridge. We've had preliminary discussions with the property owner as well as the irrigation district, and as we continue forward in this design, we'll have further conversations with them. But we'll have to realign that a little bit to get a proper width of the bridge. We'll have guardrail on each bridge. Bridge will be closed during construction. We'll provide detours for that on both of them. And then residents will still have access to their property during that time, during construction. That's the goal, to have access, but they may have to go around on a detour. So the project cost for this, again, this is a federal aid, and federal aid tends to be more expensive than if the county were just to do the project themselves. Even the little B process, it's a little more expensive, but the funding for this is primarily funded through the off-system bridge program, or the on-system bridge program. You look at Willow Creek, we have a construction estimate right now of around 1.9 million, Sandcreek around 2.5. Total funding for this is going to come from about 4 million from the on-system bridge program. That's a grant that the county applied for and will receive, and then Bonneville County has a 7.34% match, and that equates to about 323,000. These numbers are, likely fluctuate as we get closer and we dial in some more needs, as we meet with others and see what we need to incorporate. But those are preliminary numbers. We are in the process of environmental clearances right now. One of the purposes of this meeting is for environmental clearances, to provide a public forum for people to weigh in, provide commissioners, others to provide comment if they have comment, but mainly to notify that's part of the environmental process. We are making progress on that. And once we reach environmental clearances, we can then proceed to final design. The idea is that we get environmental clearances here shortly. We make some progress there. The hope, if everything were to go right, is that design would finish up later this summer, late summer, and then it would go out to bid fall with an opportunity to possibly be built during the non-irrigation season where there's no water in the canal, for at least Sandcreek, Willow Creek. They're going to have to do some diversion of water or some containment there a little bit, but it still would be the low season for that. So that would be the ideal scenario. Again, federal aid does take longer. There's longer review times. It's got to take a process there, and so that may change, but that's what would be the hope is. We still have other things to work through, certainly, and some of those are working with property owners. Some of them are here today to make sure they're on the same page as us. So on Sandcreek, that gives an idea of the bridge with guardrail on it, the width of the bridge. The width of the bridge is 52 feet out to out. This allows for, on Sandcreek, allows for a future third lane or turning lane that may come in the next 10 years. Not sure, but I know that in coordination with the highway, possibly having a center turn lane going north of that, it allows for that. And so the road is much wider there, and then it will neck down. If you go to the next slide, it will neck down to the existing road. The goal that we are trying to do with both of these bridges is stay within the right of way. In this instance, some of the wing walls may extend outside the right of way, may extend into the irrigation districts right of way, and to some of the property owners. And we've had some preliminary discussions with ones on the northeast and southeast property owners and how that may impact them. We intend to have further discussions with them as we continue to progress. On Little Sandcreek, that parallels the road on 45th, there's an access there that we want to try to maintain. And that's where you're seeing the blue is the asphalt, the tan there is more of the gravel. The roadway, because the bridge is going from a 3-span to a single span, and we have to meet hydraulic clearances for the canal, which currently they do not meet either. The roadway profile is going to be increased. And so you'll see there's a little bit of a rise in the profile there on the bottom. That rises about 2 feet from the existing bridge right now. So that's a little background on Sandcreek. If you go to Willow Creek, similar thing, but we are not widening the road substantially. We're not adding a 3rd lane. This is 2 12-foot lanes with 6-foot shoulders, which is more in line with what AASHTO and the state would like to see, with a 40-foot out-to-out bridge with wing walls and some guardrail on the approaches. If you go to the next sheet, again, showing the profile here, the profile on this one pretty much maintains the existing profile, not raising it a whole lot. We don't have hydraulic clearances there. But if you look at the northeast property there, which is where it shows that Farmers Canal, that's where we're going to have to realign it, because right now it goes adjacent to the abutment. So we're working with the irrigation district property owners on that to make sure everyone's on the same page there. Roadway elements all stay within the right of way, but we do have some property accesses that we're going to be working with the property owners to make sure that it's graded properly and that they maintain their access.
And we do have one on this one that we're going to have to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's just way too close to the existing bridge. It's way too close to the new bridge to be able to have somebody come to use it. It would essentially, the access right now would be cut in half with where the new bridge is going to go. So we've already talked with that landowner about it, but that access is going to have to go away.
So we'll still have the main access. If you're familiar with that site, it's sort of a horseshoe driveway on the south side. It approaches, comes in, and then it goes out on the north side, which is right at the bridge. And that's what Lance is referring to, is it's too close really for the existing bridge, but with the new bridge, can we get a little longer, a little wider, that access can't be maintained. So we'll still have access to his property in the future. It's just, we'll have to work with him about some adjustments there. So detour route with these, you know, they may go on at a similar time. They may not. It's all going to depend on funding, environmental clearances. Right now, we're showing it, if these were to act independently of each other, you close 45th East at Sandcreek, and then that would be your detour around if you needed to get someplace. So pretty simple detour, accessible. It is inconvenient, but by doing and closing the road at one time and completing the bridge all at once, it probably cuts the construction in half. So if we were to try to leave it open, your time frame is twice and likely not meeting in the irrigation season. So by cutting it down and saying, hey, we're doing this, and this is the same for Willow Creek as well, by closing that road, we can get it done a lot faster. The contractor can just move and go and shorten the impact on the public. Sand Creek, oh, sorry, there's Willow Creek. I should change that. That's Willow Creek, but again, same thing there. North detour to 97th, south is US 26, and basically go around. You know, you're going to have it on this one, likely have a couple mile detour. There are other roads there, but those would not be, I don't know, accessible.
They're not
maybe farm
paved.
access roads or gravel or private roads. So try to deter or detour, you know, the traffic to the main roads that are county maintained. And then as far as what the bridge is going to look like, the roadway improvements, again, it's asphalt with guardrail on either side. That south, or the one on the bottom right, is likely what, you know, you may see, the guardrail with the 3-tube rail. the 3-tube rail on the left side. It's for this speed and for the traffic, we can't do a thriving normal guardrail. We've got to do a either traffic rated crash TL4, which is that 3-tube one, or a concrete one. The 3-tube one is more open and maybe a little better aesthetic. But the bridge themselves are likely going to be these voided slab type bridges that you see on the top. So you see the railing on the top, but then you see just a concrete sort of plank looking. Some of these could be 22 to 26 inches deep, 21 inches deep. But that's the overall aesthetics. Not doing a whole lot as far as like look wise, but it's a functional, simple looking bridge that aesthetically it fits in with the surrounding environment. So that's the overall aesthetics and concept of the bridge and sort of the background of the project. Open to any questions or comments you guys have, and anything else you guys may want to talk about on this.
Questions with regards to, sorry, I have a couple questions with regards to the scheduling, and that may not be for you. First, 49th Street, got to be done before close 45th, and shut them down 49th.
No, undetermined right now.
Okay, just saying.
Yeah.
And then the second question is the voided slabs seem to be setting us back on a number of bridges right now because the delivery time's delayed and delayed. Anything we can do to make sure that we have the assets that we need to start the project, to finish the project, so we don't close the road and then end up waiting an extra couple of months because the voided slabs aren't here. I know that's not you, that's the delivery and the contractors that.
We can, as we get to the point of going out to bid on the projects, we can certainly emphasize that fact. And as soon as they get the documentation and the contracts and stuff signed with whichever contractor that is, we can emphasize getting the voided slabs to be ready. Other than that, I don't know how much pressure we can do. We're not gonna probably go out and pre-purchase them because pre-purchasing things with a bridge, things change during construction that I don't think you want to have a preset bridge that ended up being 1 inch too short.
I can't imagine the engineering firm making that kind of mistake.
The engineer won't, but the person pouring the bridge slab has in the past. So,
and just to echo what Lance is saying, you know, it's great this little B program is ongoing, right? That's separate from this. The amount of bridges that are being funded and built and replaced is actually sort of amazing, right? But a lot of these are the under 60, 70 feet span bridges, which means a lot of them are voided slab. And we're seeing that not just with the county, but across the state, that they can only produce so many, and there's only so many fabricators. Will it be the same next winter? Probably, right? Like just probably because of the amount of bridges that are still in design. I mean, just our firm alone has a number of bridges that we're working with Bingham County, and they've probably got 4 or 5 of these that will look to be built next winter. So, but the thing is they're trying to get out ahead of it. And the goal would be do not start unless you have a date, right? The biggest thing with these is getting out of the water before the canal, irrigation season comes on. At the same point in time, you don't want to get out of the water, which I think we have a couple right now, and they're sitting with nothing going on.
Yeah.
Right, and it's nothing the contractor can do. It's nothing that the design team can do. It's nothing the county can do.
And all those people don't call the contractor or
They call
the manufacturer. Call us. They don't know why their kids' school bus isn't coming to their house anymore.
Yeah,
And there's nobody working on the job.
and that's the
That's why-
unfortunate thing is like you guys will get you'll get the calls.
If there's anything we can do in the scheduling side of that to tighten that makes
And that
our
is
job
something.
easier. It also lightens the load on the public.
That is something I don't see LTAC on here, but one thing as we get closer to finalizing this, we're going out to bid, is putting stipulations in is, if next winter is, like, if it doesn't go out to bid till really late winter, it's tough to get it built. They can get it built, but you may run into that problem of the voided slabs not being there. If it doesn't hit that construction window, then it's like, okay, it bids out, but they may be able to get their voided slab procured, built within a time frame before the following fall, right? To where then you're not waiting 2 months for it while no one's doing anything on it. So things that we'll look at, and I think we'll talk with Lance as we go forward with that on schedule and what impact it may have.
Well, we appreciate the work your company's doing on this, and really appreciate the work Lance and his people have done on getting these into the program early. The number of bridges in Bonneville County and the savings to the taxpayers in Bonneville County. It's a phenomenal number, and it's the right thing for us to do to utilize these funds to replace those bridges and get into these programs.
Completely agree.
Mark the calendar with a big red circle today. That's what I like here. Anything else?
One of the things that needs to be recognized with these is we always felt that if we could do these two bridges together and bid them out together, there could be some significant cost savings. That's been kind of the progress through. We may not be able to do that because of the environmental issues that have arisen on Willow Creek that are not on Sandcreek. But that's why I've tried to press forward with the design of both of these at the same time to try to save some money. And we were going for a long time that way.
And that is still the hope, but as Lance said, they may have to break apart considering what the state and federal highway says on a couple things on the environmental clearances. So
Some of those special snails and
This one is even, to me, worse than that, because it's a named canal that somehow somebody decided was historic.
So we're working through that. It hasn't been officially noted, but that may impact our timing. So we'll see what we're submitting it, trying it not to delay it, but again, we don't have control over that either.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's not normally an issue.
Not on canals,
Yeah.
not on canals. It's normally not an issue that one of them is historic, but
Yeah. Well, thank
I don't know if with this setting, is it appropriate to see if there's comments from the public or is that,
No.
okay,
This is a public meeting, meeting for public input.
okay.
That's how it was listed.
Yeah.
So,
And so it's appropriate to leave in comment forms
yes,
and they can,
absolutely.
and then Lance, I don't know if I could talk to you about, we have digital copies of these, if other people request them, that they could
They can get them from me.
as well, or from me, so.
And if you have comments, if you're here and you have comments on this, or you'd like to provide input, please take the form, please. I can promise you that those are scrutinized and will be responded to. I've seen that work really well in the last couple of road projects, and because of the input, projects changed. So, as public, we need to be aware that the public's voice is heard. It's not just ignored. So,
Yeah, and one of the primary focuses to give an update, right? Our intent, we met with a number of them personally already, is to continue that process going forward. Individuals that have certain concerns, especially individuals, property owners that have impacts, right? The southeast corner one on Willow Creek is a substantial, it's still within the right of way, but it does affect it. The southwest corner on Sandcreek and the northwest corner on Sandcreek their approaches are effective. And so we want to make sure that I plan on meeting with them again individually, get project input, make sure that everyone's on the same page before this goes out to construction.
Another thing for the public that's here, I have in my 4 years seen an incredible shortfall in the amount of public input that comes in on projects that I think are important. People don't seem to pay any attention or notice. And I think part of that's because they don't know that the project's taking place. We would like help finding out the right way to get information out about projects that are coming up so that the public has access to that information. Government says we have to post it in the printed, so we have to post it in the records notice in the post register. That's great, but that doesn't get it to you. We can put it on our webpage, but if you don't check our webpage, that doesn't get it to you. We can get it on Facebook, but so any ideas you have about how we can improve our communication outward and in the reverse of that back inward, we would love the input. I don't do TikTok, so I'm sorry. Could be. Anything else, gentlemen? What's next?
Not with this.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Roger.
you.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
And part of this, which will be available on Zoom, those slides. will be
Yeah.
Part of this that will be available on Zoom. You can pull that up and go back through it later at your convenience.
Will we exit?
Thank you. Thanks for coming. And isn't it convenient? You could just come in the door right here instead of have to go
Yeah.
all the way through the courthouse to get here.
That's more convenient.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Thanks.
See you
Thank you all
guys.
for coming.
So discussion items, there's one that I want to talk about, and David has one too. We have an ongoing issue with fishermen at the Blacktail Reservoir,
No.
parking on the road or in the lane of traffic and prevents us from.
We're talking back on.
So at the intersection of 115th and Lincoln Road, they're
Not down at Blacktail.
not
Up
down
at-
at
Up
Blacktail,
on
but
Johnson's
they're
Farm
they're
property.
parking where the road is closed and creating a very difficult situation for us trying to actually plow the road to get back to the windmill and to the gate on 115th. That is an ongoing issue. And
It's still posted.
well, they're parking, we have the road closure here and they're parking
Okay,
on this side of the road
you guys
closure,
know where this is.
but they're parking in.
Okay, can you bring up something?
Can you bring up
Picture, I
Google?
like pictures.
And you're talking about now in the winter time.
Yes.
Yes.
The ice
You
fishing.
don't plow,
They are right.
plow up to 115th and then just a little ways down 115 to the offices for the windmills. And that's where the gate is.
So up by.
Fish and Game would like it plowed all the way to our gate at the top of Blacktail. but
Right.
That can't be done. They
Effectively, or.
They actually said they'd do it, and they couldn't find somebody to do it for them. And the only place to park, because we don't have a parking lot there, is on Johnson's farm. He doesn't like that.
Cause they spread garbage and trash and
And it's
One
not
year we
even
had
a
a
parking
broken
lot.
out
They go out in the mud and take maps. So it's a recreation issue that has been encouraged by Fish and Game. But it would be nice if we could come up with a solution for parking.
you want me to,
Kind of far out.
Yeah.
bottom left, you can turn on the aerial lamps. It's that little square.
Yeah, this thing in front of me that.
And move our subtitling over so us deaf people can read what you're saying.
Okay, so our road closure is parked right here,
Uh-huh,
just past 115.
uh-huh.
The people are parking on the road in the lane of traffic on both Lincoln Road and sometimes on 115. From Street view,
Is that parcel view or what do you?
this is maps.
Okay, I just that.
This is just Google Maps, so they're parking on the road because there's a deep
Cause there's no
high
shoulder or
shoulder, there's
anything
no
else.
shoulder. And, but with the road closure right
I
here,
bicycled that
there's
road.
no parking lot.
In the winter
And
time.
it's just very, very challenging when people are parking out here to try to get our road grader through them and plow the streets that we need to plow.
It's like snow,
California.
tempting.
So the normal parking lot is here in the summertime, but that portion of road would take road and bridge a significant amount of time
Especially that those two little
if we
sections.
could ever keep it open,
So between 5
because it drifts all the time
And you don't need to.
and we don't need to.
except for them ice fishing. So Lance, who owns the property right across from where 115 breaks off that's in this picture, waste property in the
So
low
here,
south of Lincoln,
south.
right there, that,
Um,
it's in, looks to be in Peck or whatever. Have that up lost parcel view. That just says put a parking lot here so people have a place to park. That's why I was looking for Google Street View. maybe.
It's owned by Johnson's.
I thought so. Is it productive?
Johnson's.
The Johnsons aren't farming it, it's being farmed by.
Yeah.
they're not
John's.
farming a little bit of it.
Well, no,
because-
they're not running their farm now, it's,
Well, it's,
What Johnson's are we talking about?
it was Bud Johnson and now it's two
Robert,
sons.
Robert,
they lease it out.
Gary and Robert, no, different
Do you
Johnsons.
remember, David, who the, what was yours? I can't.
It's in the trust, so it doesn't show who the names are.
Johnson Family Limited Partnership.
Yeah. I can see them, but I can't remember their name right now. They are not interested. Johnson Farm and can't remember. They're not interested in having any ground sold to the fishing game. They've already made that abundantly clear.
Yeah. Would they consider a long-term lease to Bonneville County?
They're not even very happy with Bonneville County.
Well, send Wes up there. And let him- he knows.
What do they think the solution is?
Kill them all.
They think the solution ought to be the fishing game, ought not to have any fishermen in there, ice fishing. And
There's no direct. They have a different attitude than the one we had last year, that only lasted a year, that wanted us to open that up further to fish.
well, this has been an ongoing trouble
Yeah.
for about 3 years now.
There's no fishing, we didn't want anybody in there, because that was refuge. Wintering.
Join us at the table. Can't hear you put it back there.
Question, isn't there better winter access from the Juniper campground side?
So it doesn't freeze from the Juniper campground side
It's not always ice.
nearly as fast as from the Blacktail side. And they can actually ice fish
Those
now
shallows
when
up
they
there
can't
with
ice
perch
fish.
are.
I mean, cause it's not just cars, they have to have
They
the
have-
trailers.
Well, yeah.
Trailers.
They unload
Yeah.
They unload their tracks and drive across the farm ground anyway.
I think that would be self-regulated. Like, we can't park in the middle of the road, we're gonna have to find someplace else to go.
It would be if it were radically enforced. But it's not enforced.
And it-
We get
And we have tried to
Road and
get
bridge
the
up
sheriff's
there, and
office
they call
out
the
there
sheriff
to
up,
do some
come back.
enforcement and we struggle with that.
The reason that you struggle with that is I talked to Wes just for a minute about that rock project today. Why don't they cite them? Why don't they go in there and cite them for that?
I don't have an answer.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys had that conversation.
So we need this on our agenda for the next sheriff's meeting.
Right after this. Yeah. it's like
Okay,
11 o'clock.
so if
That worked
you
out
can
great.
stay, so we can discuss this. Then I think to some degree, they get tired of hearing us say, you should do this and you should do that. And having some pictures and helping the sheriff understand that, you know what, those guys don't like writing parking tickets, there's no question.
Do we plow 115?
We plow it up to the windmill office and up to the gate.
Would you be in the wind problem if you took it a little bit farther up past that intersection?
About more of
A
our
little
road,
bit more of our-
can't turn around.
Yeah, you can't turn around. There's no place to turn around and there's no
So
place
they-
really to park. I mean,
Punch it forward 200 feet, then they'd have to back up
The
200
other
feet.
side.
And then there'd be people getting boxed in because people double parked and trapped them. That'd be their fault.
So is there a gate
Maybe we
gate?
could just pay somebody to.
there's a
walk
gate
me
at,
every day.
on 115th up Masters Fall.
And they're saying, I don't wanna do that.
No, there's a
You
road
just have to roll
closed
south side.
barricade.
We're gonna get on this fine.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
I was just asking if when they put the road closed, if they put no parking up there.
Everything out
People
there
should
becomes
know.
a target.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those signs out there that are riddled every year that we have to replace.
Yeah. No, I've seen them. I was just.
That too.
Okay. That was what I wanted to
Well,
discuss.
now's a good time to be discussing it because the lake's not all froze over yet.
Yeah.
And
So they haven't started parking quite yet up there?
so on the other side
Not on
of
the
this,
Juniper side.
the other side of this, because they have
Right,
they
Right.
have increased the number of fishermen that are going up there. I publicize great fishing, I guess. Last year we had $35,000 in vandalism to our camp stuff at Blacktail. And the only solution to that, and that's the second year in a row, is Craig has gotten a grant for an off-the-grid manufactured home to go down at Blacktail and put year-round camp homestead. But that means, they're gonna have a groomer down there that they're driving up to get to their car, which has to be parked at the top somewhere that we can park an employee car, which I'm sure there's somebody who would love to go do that, all the internet in the world. Nobody would bug them except idiots that come in that aren't supposed to be there that they can chase off. And,
pretty isolated.
Doesn't sound very fun.
oh, I.
Oh, but the guy who doesn't
I
wanna
know
see ya.
there's folks that-
Sounds like a great way to get shot.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
Well,
thinking. And then have nobody find you for,
Yeah.
till
Yeah,
summer.
nobody come check on you.
Back at the, but, so,
Reverse
Craig has
fire
gone
spotters.
forward to get that in place with the intent that then we maybe we figure out how to Fish and Game to plow all the way to our parking lot.
That was my question, of the fishing game not interested in.
Well, they couldn't find anybody to do it for them.
We offered that to them and yeah, they couldn't find anybody.
They
to
said,
do it.
yeah, we'll just plow it. And then they came back and said,
We can't plow it.
we can't
And
plow
then
it.
they
We
said, well, why
find
can't you
anybody to
just do it? It's like,
But they're not interested in providing funding for you to plow either?
as far
Well,
as
they-
I know, they haven't.
Well, they said they would, but you said you didn't have the equipment or the manpower to do it. They'd have to find their own.
Well, I
That's how
said,
that conversation went.
I know, they said, you have to buy me a new grader and a person to put in it.
It would do better going through that two deep sections where you just gotta lay down the middle and there's no way to push it.
Well, they can loader,
Yeah,
rotary too.
rotary thing.
I mean, the grader with the wing is less than a front end loader with a
That's
rotary.
why I said a rotor. But they want us to
$1.2
plow all the way down to
million.
Blacktail. And that,
They're
it's
not,
like, have you ever been here?
they're
in the
not
winter?
gonna do that.
Or we do like the Russians and build a road on top of the snow.
It doesn't get that cold, well, it hasn't been that cold this year, but maybe it will this
It's gonna be this weekend, huh?
There are not enough ice fishermen to make that.
And they're not all our county. Good portion of those are Bingham's.
Mother.
Wes was up there and he saw a lot of places from Utah.
Yeah, well,
We're just gonna
that's
close
another
the
problem
borders.
we're gonna have to deal with.
If you got a boat or a snow machine and you got Utah, we're just stopping you at the border.
Well, that's why Craig is being aggressive about enforcing the stickers. Because that's where our revenue comes for grooming the trails and that stuff. We need to get the sheriff's office to enforce them on the boats and the side by sides, so that we have that revenue coming in. Because that's revenue that goes to, I mean, it's positive about forcing people out or keep them staying home instead of coming here.
Paying your way. You gotta pay your way.
I'm full favor of that, and how do you collect it?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, it's something.
David had one more thing.
Oh, good, thank you.
I wanted to bring to the commissioner's attention lighting districts. I don't know if you knew we created those or not.
How many do we have?
140 some.
40 some,
Yeah,
and some of them
40-ish.
have 2 lights,
right.
Or 3.
and some of them have 100 lights.
That'd be nice to change. to
And
make
they're
it a little
all
bigger too, but
Individual taxing districts.
So tell me what a lighting district is. That's the
So-
first thing.
after a subdivision is recorded, I will put together some information and we'll create a lighting district for street lights for the
Okay,
maintenance and operation of those so that that electrical charge gets split up between the lot owners. And right now, the lighting district, Rocky Mountain Power owns the pole and the light. But the older ones, the light pole, the light is county owned. And we recently had one underground power line go bad. That's gonna be $6,000 to put a new line in. And in this one that I'm talking about, we have $14,000 in reserve. I guess if it's county owned, we hold $200 per pole for maintenance.
But that's not a replacement.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's 71 poles in this lighting district. It wouldn't take very many broken wires to eat up $14,000. So I was wondering whether that $200 is enough to hold back or.
I would suggest that we have a joint discussion with legal, since Scott is the one who sets up our lighting districts, and we've had back and forth. When we go back, we talk to them, they talk to Scott, and we talk to them. It would be beneficial to get you and Scott and us in the same place and talk about this coming resolution. And I don't know if that needs to be listed as
In talking with Rocky Mountain Power on this one here,
Just talk about it.
they are wanting to move toward all county owned.
Oh, I was hoping maybe they'd want to buy ours.
Now they want to
That's
get
not
out
how
of
it
the
works.
light.
That's the way they're,
They're going away from
And if
that.
that's the
Darn.
case, we need to change how that
right.
structure is set up so that when we have a small lighting district and it has to have to replace both light poles, we don't get 5 residents with a great big tax bill. Stuff like that. And so I think that one should,
Michelle was supposed to be looking.
we can, I think we have the Scott and Lance and Dave. We must talk about lighting districts. The education thing on it and then make some decisions about a plan.
We might want to look and see too if
Oh, I
we
suppose
adopted
Austin
a,
needs to come to.
well, I don't need to come. I was just gonna say, we might want to look and see if we adopted a resolution when we originally established them as to what all these amounts were and what we were gonna do, like what the process was. I think
And those
vaguely, I think there's one
those
out
amounts have
there.
never been changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right
$200
now,
might have bought a power pole
right now it's $200
when they were
per
hanging
pole.
with gas lamps. Well, we're into, is there anything else?
No.
Micah, did you have anything just quickly?
I just
Good
had a
to see
couple
you.
of, good to be
You know,
here.
both,
I don't.
I'm Michelle Keller.
Nice to meet you. I'm Micah Austin. I'm the city administrator for the city of Hammond. Welcome Commissioner Mallard. Welcome Commissioner Casperson. You guys will see me here once or twice a month, depending on what my schedule is in Hammond. And I usually come and I like to listen, but I usually have a couple of items for the commissioners. So if you have anything for Hammond, you can note it down. You can call me anytime, but you can always note it down. And when I come to this meeting, we can discuss it. So good to have you. The mayor says welcome as well.
I'm supposed to be the liaison too.
Oh, great. Great. Well, let's, we should get together then.
Yeah.
Just a couple of very quick items, Mr. Chair. 17th Street Bridge will be closed on January 19th.
I keep seeing that.
Yeah, so that's full
Good.
closure.
Good.
We are not telling anybody any reopening dates. And so what I keep telling people is it's gonna be 2 years. Now, obviously, it's gonna open a lot earlier than that. but
Walmart's gonna love.
Well, you
that.
hope anyway. We hope, right. But what you heard from your consultant here about materials and what Lance has been saying on materials and
Yeah.
scheduling, et cetera, we're feeling that as
We get it.
well.
Yeah.
Our first street bridge closure should have been open probably a month and a half ago if things had gone according to schedule. It was all about getting those materials. The crews are fantastic, but it's getting those girders.
Yep.
So that's the 19th. That's gonna happen Sunday.
Okay,
And
what
then-
17th Street Bridge is this? Where is it
And
at?
That's by
By
Albertsons there.
Albertsons and Big Five.
The
And
big wide one.
Yeah. There's a bridge there. A lot of people don't even know there's a bridge there. But that's one of the worst bridges in the state.
it's one of the best homeless.
It's
locations
great for
in the
that,
world.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that brush
Get
overhang.
kicked out. It's a great spot to go. But that one's gonna be completely
It's a
replaced.
big
That's
one.
also part of that bridge program.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Just trying to get your bridge there.
yeah.
It
Most
is
people don't even
weird.
know
You
it's
don't
out.
think it is until you really go look at it.
Dog in the drink place.
There's a storage, there's
That's just
the
bridge.
Idaho Falls Vet Clinic is right there at the bridge.
And the bank and the storage is,
Okay.
Albertsons,
yeah.
Men's Warehouse.
So it's not on 17th
It
Street?
is on
It is.
It is
So
mainly there.
that whole here,
Just past
17th
25th.
Street is going to be closed?
No,
Just
just
off
17th
of-
Street, past the entrance to Albertsons and the drink store. Drink place,
So the
Big Dog.
eastbound portion of it will
Okay.
be, yes.
So stay on this side of it.
Or on that side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go that
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one.
Now I'm gonna have to go figure out what I.
Yeah,
So we are reopening First Street,
yes,
and that should happen. Oh, I think it could
sometime
happen
in the
any
next 2
day.
years.
Yeah, next 2 years, right. That one, we've got to open that before Sunday, so any day now we'll get that open. And then in the fall, we plan on closing the intersection at 49th Street. That's 49th and Ammon. We've got a canal that goes right underneath that intersection there. That's all got to come out because we're going to replace that intersection with a traffic signal eventually. We're years away from a traffic signal, but we do have the funding to do the canal crossing underneath the intersection.
So it's getting 4 ways up.
Yep.
I always waited for the school bus to tip over in that one
Oh, it's bad.
on an icy cold day. That's when we want a school bus to. And end up in that canal.
Well, the problem is, we can't do much with it, because if we put up
I know.
guardrails, it's
I know.
worse.
Yeah.
So that we get a lot of
No,
complaints
that'll
about
be a
that.
good project when it's done.
Anything for me?
No, thank you. Great to see you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Nice one.
It'll be great working with you all.
Thanks.
Okay,
Okay.
good.